Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Erndales. My name is Dale, and this is my YouTube channel, Erndales, and I'm very happy to see you today. I'm going to apologize right off the bat for the scratchy sounding throat, the that's going to go on, and the shortness of breath. I've just gotten over COVID, and I have these lingering shortness of breath episodes, coughing episodes, and if you've had COVID, you know all about that. So I apologize ahead of time because I know I'm going to be clearing my throat and have a froggy throat. So today I am going to show you something a little bit different. And this is sort of in response to a conversation that I was involved in on a Facebook group of fantastically wonderful crafting people. We were talking about Afghan stitch using an Afghan needle and Tunisian crochet. And I had commented that there was a way that you could do the Tunisian stitch or the Tunisian crochet and do a reversible stitch. And there was a couple of people who were very interested, so I offered to do a tutorial. And that's what this is going to be about. So without further ado, I'm just going to show you what I mean about a reversible stitch. Now, I did this blanket quite a few years ago. Actually, I've done several like this. And I will show you what I mean about it being reversible. I'll back up a little bit. So this is a blanket. I'm showing it to you this way, so just so that you can see it all. So here's one side of it, and here's the other side. So if you can see, it's totally different on each side. And the way that you do this is with the double-ended crochet hook. It's not a regular hook, it's a long hook like a knitting needle, and it has two hooks on the end, two crochet hooks on, one on each end. And you do this working two yarns at once, and it's actually worked, this piece was done in one piece, and it was worked this way. So when you start your work, you're starting with, what I did with this one was I had one of those pounder balls of, I think it was Burnett pounder or something, a great big ball of one color of yarn. And that color was this blue. This blue here that you see, it's predominant on this side, but it disappears into the middle of your stitch on this side. You see here? So what I did was I started with this blue on one end of the needle, and then you work across, and then you start with another color or another yarn on the other end, and you work this way and then this way and then this way, and this, you're always turning your work and you're working back and forth. And that's how you get predominantly one color on one side and all the other colors on the other side. So on this side, I used that one big ball of blue. And on this side, going the other way, I used up scraps of yarn. And that's why I have all these different colors, opposed to the other side, which has, you can see the other colors, but they're buried in the blue quite a bit. So this makes a wonderful, warm, cozy blanket. This is made from worsted acrylic because that's what I had, and I wanted, actually what I made this for was for the car. Where we live in Canada, and we're in the country, most of our driving is on the highway. And you don't know, you can leave home and it'll be beautiful, sunny, cold, but sunny day. And by the time you turn around and come home, you're in a snowstorm. And you can go off the road, your car could stall. And so it's a good idea to have a few nice, really warm blankets in the car. So that's what I made this one for. I was just using up scraps. It's acrylic, it's tough, it's strong. It's thick. I'm going to show you how thick it is. And it's washable. So, you can get it really dirty, you throw it in the washing machine and dryer, and it comes out looking beautiful. Now, this stitch is crochet, definitely crochet, but it has a bit of a knitting look to it. It also looks like baroche, and it also resembles weaving. Actually, while you're doing it, you're going to think you're doing more weaving than anything. It's super, super easy, and your ends are finished. You don't have to do any ends. They're all even. They're all nicely done. This is the way it turns out. The only thing you have to do is weave in if you're changing colors like this one was, you just have to weave that in, but I don't actually weave those in. What I do is I take a darning needle when I get to the end of one color and I darn it into the next color, so then I can just keep on going and I don't have anything to weave in. That's what I did with this one. So this is a blanket, but you could make a cowl, you could make a hat. It would make a lovely, really warm hat. You can make a scarf. There's quite a few things that you can do with this, but I don't really think it's possible to work this in the round, because you're working two sides of a needle. And I don't have the needle here, but I'll show you coming up what I'm talking about. So this is the Reversible Stitch Tunisian Crochet. And now I'm going to show you how it's done. So if you've got a needle with two hooks, one on each end, and you've got some scrap yarn, join me and I'll show you just how easy it is to get this beautiful yarn. Now, you could do this in squares and put them all together, or like I said, this is all one piece. I had all of these stitches on the needle. I think this was about 80 some stitches, and so you squash them all on the needle. And then so if you wanted to do a bigger blanket than this, I don't know that you would get that many more stitches on one needle, but you could do two of these panels and put them together. So you could have one this way, and then the other side you could have reversed this way. You can do all kinds of things with this. It's a really versatile stitch, and you can just crochet this up, and oh, it's so warm and so cuddly. So okay, I'm going to take you over to the table and I'll show you how this is done. Here we go. Before we start, I'm just going to go over the needles with you. So the Afghan hook that you use for the Afghan stitch has a hook. It's like a knitting needle, but it has a hook on one end, and it has the same kind of a end on it as a knitting needle. This one, you would use the true Afghan stitch on, the one that you can embroider over and stuff like that. Okay. Then there's another kind, excuse me, that's long like a knitting needle, but it has a hook on both ends. That's the kind that you're going to need for the project I'm going to show you. This is the Tunisian stitch. This one is quite a thin one. You could use this one for DK weight or sport weight, or maybe even sock yarn. But I'm going to use this one. It's got the hook on both ends, and this one is for worsted weight or thicker, I think. It's a nice needle. So you have to have hook on both ends. These are getting a little hard to find. I haven't seen them for a long time, but I'm sure you can still find them somewhere. Okay, we're going to start, and you'll need 2 colors of yarn. So we're going to start like you would any piece of crochet. You're going to have a slip knot. Okay, you've got your slip knot and you chain loosely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, you got 20 stitches on. You've chained 20 stitches. Now if you were going to just crochet, you would work in every chain along here, and you would be working on this piece of chain, but we're not doing that. All these, you're going to be working off the needle. That's the difference between this kind of crochet and the other. So we have to put all these 20 stitches onto this needle now. And how we do that is we're going to go into each chain. So the first chain we've already got on the needle. That's this one here. So that's one. We're going to go in the chain, hook onto the yarn, pull it up, through, and up on the needle. Through the chain, hook the yarn, pull it through and on the needle. Through the chain, hook the yarn, on the needle. And we're going to do that all the way across on all 20 chains. So when we're done, we should have 20 loops on our needle. So you're going to go in the chain, hook the yarn, pull it through and on the needle. In the chain, hook the yarn, pull it through, on the needle. Okay, let's count to make sure we have 20. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Okay, we've got them all on the needle. So now we're going to forget about this, but we're going to turn this around like this, and we're going to slide all of this to the other end. And we're going to take our other yarn and we're going to attach it with a slip knot. And we're going to work this way. So what we're going to do is attach it with a slip knot at the top, and then we are going to pull it through, and we're not actually going to crochet it. We're just actually going to do like a half a stitch and keep pulling it through, and it'll go right in between the needle and this stitch here. So for the very first one, we are going to, well, not for the first one, we're going to loop through and we're going to pull it through the first 2 stitches. Okay, so we got a red one on here, and we're going to loop through, pull it through the red one, and pull it through the next beige one. Loop, loop around, grab that loop, pull it through the red one and the next beige one. And we're going to do that all the way across. You're going to catch that loop, pull it through the red one and the beige one. Catch that loop, pull it through the red one and the beige one. Red one and the beige one. Red one and a beige one, all the way across on each of the 20 stitches. Make sure you don't pull it through 2 beige ones. You only want to pull it through the red and 1 beige. The red and 1 beige. Just hook it, pull it through the red and 1 beige. The red and 1 beige. Red and 1 beige, and the red and 1 beige. Okay, so now we've got both our colors on this end again, but we want this red to be on, we want one color to be on one end of the on the hook and the other to be on the other. So what we have to do now is we are going to, because we have red on the loop, we want to make all 20 stitches red on the loop. To do that, this one we've done already. This stitch belongs to this stitch. So to do this, we are going to put the needle in the front, and we're going to hook the yarn, pull it through and on the needle. Through the front of that stitch, hook the red yarn, pull it up on the needle. Through the front, hook it up on the needle. And we're going to do that 20 times, or we're going to do it on each of these beige stitches. So by the time we get to the other end, we're going to have 20 red loops on the needle. And again, it's not a real true single crochet. It's about half of that, because you're not finishing that stitch. You're just using it to make a loop. That's all you're doing. And you're going to go all the way to the end. I hope you can see this. Okay, so now if you look at your work, you've got a tail here and a tail here. So now you're going to turn your work. You're going to slide this to the end because you want to work your beige. I'm just going to pull this, oops, sorry about that. So now what you're going to do is you're going to do exactly the same thing that you did with the red. Actually, I'm just going to move this over. You are going to, oh, we better count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Okay, so with the beige now, and you always know which one that you're working with. Whatever color is on the needle, you know that you're going to be pulling the other one through. So that's sort of how you guess which end you're supposed to be working on. If you have red on this needle, you're going to work on this other end and pull this through. If you had beige on the needle, you would be working the other way. Okay, so we're going to do the exact same thing we did with the red. We are going to loop around, pull it. This time it's a little different. We're going to pull it through the first stitch first. We're not going to pull it through 2. We want to get that first beige stitch on there. Now we're going to pull it through these 2, the first one and the second one. Okay, so loop it around, pull it through the first 2. Loop around, pull it through 2. Always the beige and 1 red. Loop around, pull it through a beige and 1 red. Loop around, pull it through beige and 1 red. Loop around, pull it through beige and 1 red. And you learn to do this with your needle so that you're not using your arm. You just twist the needle. Because the needle is long enough, you can do that. You don't even have to use really very much of your arm. You use the needle to kind of work it. It's actually, once you get going on this, it's so quick and fast, and you can do it in your sleep pretty much. I love this stitch. So now when you get these all off, we're going to have to go, and we're going to, because we're left with 1 beige, now we know that we have to have all beige loops on there. So this beige belongs to this stitch. So we're going to go into the next red stitch and we're going to loop around and pull it up on the needle. Go into the beige or the red stitch, loop around on the needle. 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 It's almost like weaving, to be honest with you. It's more like weaving than anything, is how I think of it. Okay, let's see if we have 20 stitches. 2, 4, 6, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Now, we have this beige on the needle. So we know we have to turn our work, pull it down to the other end because we have to pull the red through. So again, we're only going to pull the first stitch. For the first time, we'll only, after that very first row, the very first stitch that you're pulling through is only one, because you want to get the one on there first, like that. Okay, now we're going to pull through this one and this one, all the way through, one at a time. Red and a beige, red and a beige, red and a beige, all the way through. And it's a good idea not to pull so tightly. Try and keep your work fairly loose. That was a hard thing for me to do when I first started doing this, because I'm a very tight knitter and a very tight crocheter, and the looser that you work this, the faster it goes and the easier it is. Okay, oops, didn't quite get that one. We're at the end. Now we have the red on the needle, so we have to make sure we have, now we're going to put 20 reds on the needle. So once again, this stitch belongs to this beige, so we're going to go into this beige, wrap, pull up on the needle, go in the beige, wrap, pull up on the needle, go in the beige, wrap, pull up on the needle, go in the beige, wrap, pull up on the needle, all the way across. And you can see now what you're going to be doing on the next row, I think. Because we're going to have all red, whoops, I don't want two, I only want one. We're going to have all red on the needle, so we're going to have to slide our work down and go to the opposite end. I hope I'm explaining this correctly for you to understand. It's not hard. It's just getting it started is a little tricky. Okay, do we have 20 on here? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Okay, now we don't want to pull that through. We want to pull this one through. So you turn, pull it down to this other end, and we're going to use the beige. And see how it's making your nice edge already? And the other thing you can notice is the difference. You see how it's reversible? This side will have more red, this side will have more beige. The red is inside these stitches here. So it's truly reversible. Okay, so for the very first stitch, we're just going to pull it through one stitch. Okay, now from here on, we pull it through this stitch and one of the red. And that, my friends, is all you do. You just repeat these 2 rows over and over and over until you run out of yarn, or until you get to whatever size you want. Okay, we have a beige on the needle. We want to have 20 beige on the needle then. So that stitch belongs to this one. So you're going to go into the next one, pull up on the needle. In the red, loop it over in the needle. Oops, I got 2. Don't want 2, I just want 1. And if you always remember to have your same amount of stitches, you will never have it going off, you know, that way or that way. It'll be square. As long as you always have the same amount of stitches on the needle that you originally chained, you will have a nice square. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Okay, now we have to turn, pull it down. Just move that out of my way, and now we're going to be doing the red side. And again, we're just going to do the very first stitch by itself. And now from now on, we're going to be pulling it through a red and a beige. Oh, just one beige, not 2. And this is a nice thick piece. Like a beautiful heavy blanket for a cold, cold winter night. Okay. Again, we are going to, you have 1 red on the needle, you want 20 on the needle. So starting with the second one, because this one belongs to there, you're going to go in the front, loop over, pull up. In the front, loop over, pull up. In the front, loop over, pull up. And you can see how fast this goes. I mean, I'm not going very fast because I want you to sort of see what I'm doing. But believe me, it goes very, very fast, especially if you're using worsted weight. You could make a headband with this too, really. Be a nice warm headband. You wouldn't need to make as many stitches as this. Okay, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Now, we're going to have to turn, pull this down to this end, and we will just pull through one loop first, because you want to have one color and another color. So look at it now. Isn't it pretty? There's a wonky stitch there. So if you made 2 of these, you could sew them together, this side on one of them and then have the other side beside it, so that, you know, it's alternating. How pretty is that? So now if you wanted to finish this off, what you would do is you would actually, well, I'll show you. So we're going to just go through here. Until we have it like a piece of crochet. Because you don't have your stitches all on the needle when you crochet with a regular crochet hook. What you would do is you could either take this off and take a regular crochet hook and finish it off with whatever stitch you wanted. I would just use a single crochet all the way across. Or you could do it with this one too. You could just do a single crochet all the way across. Just go down into each stitch all the way along and crochet it. So that is the Tunisian reversible stitch. I hope you try it. It's like eating popcorn. Once you start, it's really hard to put it down, and it goes so nice and fast, and it's very versatile. You can do all kinds of different color combinations. You could do strips of, you could do strips of this and then do another one exactly the same and have one this way and the next one beside it that way. So you would, and alternate them. There's so many different things you can do with this. And you can also do like I did with the other blanket, have one color throughout the whole thing and then just keep changing your second color. That's what I did. I had a base color of blue. I never ever changed that color. I kept that color throughout the whole piece, but I also always changed my second color. I just kept, whenever I ran out of a ball, I put a different color on the end and I keep on going. So that's the reversible Tunisian stitch. I hope you try it and I hope you enjoy it. I know you will. Let me know how you get on with it. And if you need any more explanation, just send me a message and I'll see if I can help you out with it. It's a great, great stash buster. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.